Hello, folks, and welcome back. Welcome back to another episode of Casting Conflicts, where today, Tweakin, we have finally approached it. The day has come. Finals is now here, and we have our competitors. As you can see, it's going to be DeathsAdvocate taking on oooje, the winner receiving the crown for Season 2. Hello. Tweakin, how are you? As I just coughed out something there. I don't know what that was.
I'm doing great. This is the matchup that everyone wants to see. Number one going up against number two. It should be a straight grudge match. Should be great. Should be hot and heavy. I'm excited for it. Both decks are great. They've been steamrolling the competition, so I can only imagine the games are going to be unreal.
Right. I mean, take a look at the decks here as I switch over the screens real quick. You've got oooje running back, the same Mystic Rat. Well, not even Mystic Rats. It's just Windy Hooks. I'm realizing now that there's no Mystic Rat in this deck list, but still the Windy Hook strategy going up against the red-green Swarm strategy, which, again, we've mentioned both have been pretty dominant throughout the season, and it should be a very entertaining match nonetheless here. But Tweakin, the all-important question, who are we looking forward to winning this thing? Who is the ideal pick for you coming out of this game?
It's hard because both players have hard counters for each deck. I mean, you look at DeathsAdvocate, his hard counters to oooje's deck is his direct damage and Dragon's Fire. You got Blue Fire Bolts to take out his Fat Bards and Armories.
Mm-hmm.
You got Dragon's Fire to take out basically all of his units, because we've been saying throughout the season, if you take out oooje's Fat Bards and Armories, all of his units are 3 health outside of, Mordok and Shaman. All his units are 3 health and lower, and that is easily wiped out with a Dragon's Fire. Now, if you look over at oooje's side to hard counter DeathsAdvocate's deck, you have the likes of Freezing Pillar, you have Temple of the Five Gods, you have a Serpent Sea Witch with Lightning Blade. So it's hard to say who's going to have, who's the clear-cut winner in this, because both decks have an answer for each other. I feel like whoever's going to win this with this matchup, I feel like if oooje is able to get off a lot of value from a Freezing Pillar,
mm-hmm.
or a Lightning Blade or a Temple, he could easily win this matchup. However, if DeathsAdvocate can somehow get off a Rakanoth, or a couple of Dragon's Fires where oooje can't build up his momentum, and he can't form that back line and can't have that that board presence and that dominating position, I think it might be hard for oooje to answer back. So it's just a matter of who is going to get off their big combination first. Will oooje get off his Lightning Blade value, or will DeathsAdvocate get off his burn value first? Because both players have ramping ability, have spawning ability. You both have rat hovels. You both have some unit that can spawn multiple units in a turn. So I feel like this game one is going to be evenly matched. Personally, I'm giving the edge to oooje in this first matchup just because I know how deadly Freeze is compared to Spam. And even if you do get a Blue Fireball on the Freezing Pillar, the damage is already done. You already set yourself up for some sort of Lightning Blade. So I want to say that if oooje can get a Freezing Pillar off, I'm going to give the advantage to oooje.
Or Big Lightning in general. Yeah, that's
certainly Big Lightning.
Certainly a thing to watch out for. I don't know, though. I don't know if I want to go with oooje here. Just knowing the methodical play of DA here, he's going to be very prepared for things like this, obviously. So, I don't know. I might give the edge to him, but it's a tough call. Certainly a tough call.
It's hard. It's not so clear cut where it's like, oh, okay, DA's gonna walk all over this game one. Both decks are extremely well crafted, and both players are really are very good. So it's hard. It's a toss up here. It's honestly a 50-50, maybe even 54. Wait, no, not that.
Oh, dear
49
God.
and a 51. Yeah, there we go. Math is hard. And
well, listen, Tweakin. There's only one way we can find out who's actually going to win this game one. That's by actually viewing the game one. So what do you say we view the game one?
Let's get it.
All right, folks, and we're back to it's match 1 of the finals. Here we go. That's an interesting opener. It's a lot of removal.
Not the best, but we're gonna get this unholy altar down, and hopefully we can start doing stuff. I mean, we'll probably pair it with the armory and some other things here.
I'm not liking this opener because we know oooje's deck can sometimes get a swarm going faster than DA can. We've always told us, or told you guys, that, you know, if you strike fast and hard against DA's deck, it's most likely going to go poorly for you. Or no, it's most likely going to be poorly for him. But English is messed up because we, you know. But yeah, no, I think if oooje can get his stuff going a little bit faster in this game, he's going to have a good chance here. Because realistically, all we have is the blue fire bolt as sort of an opening response to something. And of course, we need to set up that unholy altar to really get things going here. And there is the guards, and oooje's deck's already going to start getting things off, start getting things going here. The smith, I don't know. Do you coin to the smith here and play the altar to avoid chain, you know, below or above the castle here?
Looks like we are.
At least that's
I mean, I think
setup.
I guess since, you know, if we play the unholy altar, we still don't have a playable unit for next turn since he has slow. So I guess Reaper just wants to have, you know, some sort of answer here. So actually, this is where we probably play our altar here.
Yeah.
Since we have fear and blue firebolt for next turn if things go south, and we can kind of position our zombie to block castle.
The pass is really surprising coming in from oooje here. I mean, turn 3, we know his deck runs things like hooks, smith, rat hovel. There's a lot of early stuff that he could play at that 3 gold slot here. So to see a pass is a little concerning. Probably not dealing with the best opener on his end. So we'll see if maybe DA can take advantage of that here with the way he's going to set up his altar, start generating those units, start generating those bodies. And we know those bodies can get really big here, looking at the rest of his hand with Necromancer and Armory in the back. And like you said, yeah, Fear and Blue Firebolt to maybe throw as responses to whatever oooje can put together here. It's quite interesting.
Now, if I'm Reaper here, I'm trying to save that Blue Firebolt for a frozen pillar, or okay.
Ooh.
Now the question is, can we survive long enough to play a Dragon's Fire without giving the Sea Witch too much value here? Now we are in Lightning Blade territory here. So we have to be cautious about where we put our units.
Next turn in temple range as well, when you consider that as a factor. That could be pretty dangerous. Gonna see the zombie move to block face. I don't think blocking face is the right idea.
Like, it's hard because if you block your unholy altar, we could see a lightning blade up there. If we block castle, we'll just see the hostage city guard go down and the serpent witch move forward and spawn at least one zombie. And like, I don't know, maybe you fear back the sea witch and possibly end your turn. We're going to fear back the top hostage city guard. We're going to get an acolyte, so we'll probably play the acolyte up top too, or down below.
I think down below, just to space out his assets a little bit here, not clumping up in one space to give value to a thing like Temple, where the Sea Witch can run in, pop, generate the skeletons, and all of a sudden you now have 2 additional bodies, each providing chain potential that are really close to face.
Yeah, Temple or Frozen Pillar, kind of, separate your targets out.
Right. Kind of what
and kind of do. Have him, and have oooje pick whether he wants to target the blacksmith, the unholy altar, or the acolyte.
So guard moving into face here, popping with the zombie. The Sea Witch going to do the same as well, except this time going in. If he puts the skeleton up top into the smith here, I could probably foreshadow a reanimate this turn here, and that is what goes on. Yep, there's the reanimate. Generating the horseman, bopping the altar, which is a really good hit, and a wraith on top of it. Really nice set of events there for oooje in this turn here, moving into the mid game, putting DA at quite the disadvantage here. He keeps his acolyte, but that's pretty much the only thing that he's going to be walking away from with, or at least for this turn here. One more turn though until the Dragon's Fire, which may open things up for the coming turns here, but he's got to get there first. That's going to be tricky.
Right. I would. Oh man. I mean, maybe I'd play my Necromancer here, um, and just hold out to play the Dragon's Fires. I don't want to play the Dagger Storm here because I mean we're really only hoping for the Dagger Storm to land somewhat a lot on the Wraith here because everything else dies from a Dragon's Fire. Even if oooje plays a Fat Bard or an Armory, they still all die. So I don't think the Dagger Storm here is a lot of value. We do run the risk if we place a building down here that the Sea Witch moves in, spawns two skeletons and plays a lightning blade onto the blacksmith in the armory here,
Right.
unless oooje decides to trade with the Sea Witch now, which would potentially save him from that. But you will give up your acolyte.
Yeah, and I think that's the one thing that's sort of like somewhat keeping oooje's units back here, the threat of that acolyte spawning more bodies. Although oooje Sea Witch can do the same thing but faster, it's still,
Right.
that acolyte is pretty big at 3-5, whereas oooje is just at a 1-1. And of course, I don't think Reaper's in a huge hurry to trade into that because again, you got the Dragon's Fire in the back pocket. It clears off a lot of the board here. It really only
Right.
kills everything but the Wraith.
Right.
Of
All right.
course.
Ooze doesn't have a lightning blade or doesn't want to commit to it.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna set up a shaman here for draw, and I mean outside of uh yeah, we're just gonna end it. And this is where we play our Dragon's Fire here. We move our acolyte maybe one space up and blacksmith behind our castle to kind of start
Behind or all
making
the way down, I
displacement.
think. Either one of those options here because you have the Shaman threatening an L-Blade to take out the Smith and Armory here. The Wraith isn't really doing much in that awkward spot here. I mean, it's setting itself up for a trade of some kind, but, we used the Dragon's Fire, so we're going to be keeping that guy around for just a little bit longer.
I would like for DA to move his blacksmith out of the way just so we can avoid any lightning blade shenanigans on top of that shaman here.
Right. That would be ideal.
But we're not going to do that. So I mean, if I'm a huge here and and I'm given the chance to take out a global buff and and a blacksmith here, I will do it. I think that's a good option here, a good trade.
Yeah, so we'll see if that's going to be the direction we go into here. We know that oooje has been sitting on quite a lot of cards here, more than usual for his games here. So again, indicating that maybe his strategy is going to be a bit slower this time around. Because I mean, we really haven't seen much from this game. We saw Sea Witch, we saw the Reanimate. It's about it in terms of noteworthy appearances.
Little rusty hook action.
Okay. That does pull the Acolyte into the Wraith range. And then yeah,
All right.
Dragon Knight will finish it off. We can move the Wraith in
In
there as well. Yeah.
Interesting that he decided to trade in his Drake. I guess he just realized that, that was a mistake there.
Yeah, the Drake, I think, being alive was a piece of that plan, and now he's gonna kind of pay for it a little bit here. Daggerstorm potentially being considered here to kind of just get the spread going. Perfect
Oh my
spread.
God. It's the
Perfect
perfect
spread.
spread.
And you can now play
And
Necromancer if you wanted to, or Hovel with this extra gold here.
I would play the rat. I would play the rat hovel.
Okay. Generating just more bodies at this point here with the buffs you've got going on already. It just makes sense.
Yeah.
But, I mean,
Yeah.
we're considering Necromancer, which I mean I like more personally because it's a more effective use of the gold here. Hot Hovel is only 2 gold. You'd be carrying a lot left over, which doesn't really feel good. And you're getting a 7/6 body out of the Necromancer, which can be pretty useful here to sort of slow down whatever oooje's next units are, as opposed to the Rat Hovel. But I understand your point. You want to get Rat Hovel out as soon as possible. Again, you want to generate that swarm, which is what DA's deck really wants to do. The
Right.
Rakanoth is an interesting pickup though, because that's not going to see action for a bit of time now.
Yeah, we need to get some undead unit out here. I mean, we do have some stall. We have Daggerstorm. We have Blue Firebolt. I mean, do we Blue Firebolt that, or do we just hold on for a little bit? I think we hold on for now. It's not in a threatening position because we can just move our people out of the way.
That's
We'll
true.
probably shaman. Well, I would imagine we shaman here. So what we get? No, we're just gonna go ahead and Blue Fire it. Uh, I'm not too worried about that.
Well, we're gonna do it
Uh,
anyway. I mean, I get why he wanted to do that because Karasume right now, if he had a position to scope, you could
right.
see bouncing back to Maddie, generating more units for oooje to manipulate here, and range units at that. Not what I think DA wants to see, especially if he's got a spot to move a smaller swarm up with these rats. Um, so yeah, I think the blue fire was okay. Hopefully that doesn't backfire into a bigger unit here in the next turn. We're in Yenaroth territory now. We're at that 9 gold threshold, and if oooje has got one in hand, more than likely going to play it.
Yeah, you would hate to have to play a Yenneroth here now. I mean, you don't get that much value. I mean, you're really only freezing off the 7/6. Um, it's an interesting game right now. Like,
It's
both players have a
it's
good answer. It's a very slow-paced game. It's a
but
very
also very
slow-paced game.
different from what we've seen out of both of the players here in recent times. Like DA having a bit of a struggle with his swarm here. Same with oooje.
Mhm.
Really not being able to pop off the core strategies that these guys have been able to utilize throughout the season. We're going to see a Dragon Knight now from oooje to kind of throw to block here. The Rusty Hook's looking to threaten that hovel, though, at the bottom there, I believe. At least that's what I'm thinking. We're going to see the Shaman finally for some draw. Drake comes out, which is a nice pickup because that can now manipulate us into a turn 10 Rakanoth. That's actually pretty big.
Mhm.
You see a Necro trade there at the bottom here. Dagger Storm landing all through in the night. Probably not what we wanted to see, but hey, at least we get a kill out of it. I would be surprised if DA does not throw out the Drake here at some point because we need to get that going, I think. Rakanoth can be a big potential game ender here. So
And I
gonna
don't think
throw it
oooje
away.
has a way to deal with this Drake right here, unless he has some sort of buff or drain. Oh no, he can. He can, but now DA's making him choose. Do you want to go after the Drake or do you want to go after the Necromancer here?
Mm-hmm.
He does have an opportunity to kill with the Temple. I mean, you pull it in with Rusty Hooks and you finish it off with your Drake
Mm-hmm.
or whatever small unit. Um, no, we're not going to do it here. We're just going to trade here. This might
Yeah.
be the end, unless there's a reanimate here.
I think this might be a bit of a reanimate because we can put all three peasants into Necromancer. We can throw the top one up into the Shaman. Yeah, it feels like we're going for another reanimate here. We are.
Oh, that's big. That's big. Takes
Hitting
out the arm.
Smith. Oh, we get the Drake. That's so good.
Oh,
Oh
oh my
my
God.
god.
Oh, oooje has no idea how big of a play that was right there. I mean, that could have ended the day. That
Jesus.
that could have ended the game. Now,
Oh!
it's only fair that DA responds with a Dragon's Fire. I mean,
Off the
it's only
top,
fair.
too. Oh my god. The spell pulls, not looking too impressive here. The Vortex may be come in handy for a range unit. The Shockwave. Well, DA just set himself up for some Shockwave value from oooje here. He can run that rat up, pop a Shockwave, kill off those units if he wants to. Oh,
Yo,
that was a big turn.
honestly, I'm starting to feel if D who can get off their big combination first. If DA can get off his Raka, I think it's game over. But if oooje can do something here, like it's like it can go any way. Like we're so evenly matched. We have our Aculite here. Hopefully, we can take out all three on the
Oh my
Rusty Hooks,
god!
and we do. Oh my God, dude! Each player is getting their own little version of RNG right now. I
Jeez.
love it. I love it. I love how even a match this is for game one.
Only
Uh,
fitting for the finals, Tweaking. Only so fitting.
oh my God. I mean,
There's the Vortex. Yep. Okay, so we're pulling in the Acolyte. Smith
oh,
comes
and we have
out. Yep.
we have just enough to take out the Aculite too. Oh my God.
We
What a
have to
game one.
we have to forego the Smith hitting the castle, but yeah, it's worth to take out the Acolyte here. Again, keeping us off of that Rakanoth is absolutely critical. There's the altar, which yeah,
I mean, do you put it right in front of the rat hovel?
I think you do because then you put the zombie in a safer place or the ideal place to pop a
Hmm.
much more impactful Rakanoth here. Plus, nothing else can really touch it from this position here. We're gonna get into the sudden death draw momentarily here when we pass it back to oooje, but like nothing he's got right here on this board, nor in his deck aside from Rusty Hooks, can really reach the altar if we play it in front of the Rat Hovel.
Yeah, I think we're gonna do it right here. I mean, we're only worried about. I mean, not even a rusty hooks. Rusty hooks can't even open it. The only thing we're worried about here is a frozen pillar. A frozen pillar is the only thing that can answer to this right now, or maybe a Drake dance. But I don't think Ooze runs Drake dance. But that would be.
I don't know if it's in a sideboard.
What about Winds of the Nord? Winds of the Nord with this? That would be some.
Oh
No,
yeah,
we're just gonna,
the rat would have been able
we're
to
just
push in. There's the L blade.
lightning.
Yep. We want to start getting in the damage where we want that. We want to close the damage gap here. He's gonna. Oh no! Oh no!
Oh, he's gonna commit Foley.
Oh no! Oh, I think you got to play the Rakanoff though. I think now
See,
we're doubting ourselves here.
there is a way to clear off everything. Even the blacksmith is you have to trade your back rat into the front rat, but you do take 1 damage to your castle. So you have to
And
ask
we're
yourself, is that worth it?
and we're already in sudden death, so it
Yeah.
feels not ideal here. We're gonna pop it. We're gonna take out the blacksmith the hard way. We're gonna generate the 5/8 here. It's gonna do something. I mean, taking out the smith here is good too. It's gonna mean it's gonna be harder for oooje to trade in. I mean, the rat's only doing 2 damage. He needs something that deals 3 attack to kill it off. The question is, does he have it in that dual draw? We are in sudden death right now. Lumberjack, not enough, but he can draw for it. Okay. Oh,
There
wow.
we go.
Okay, he's going to commit to the L blade as well with that. So keeping the rat to preserve the body, that is good here. Oh, and the Maddie for even more bodies. Yeah, that's good. That is good here. So now the fear we have won't exactly be worth it.
Oh, we get a Mordock here.
Mordock is nice. I think what would be that? We're gonna fear the Pyromancer back. Okay, execution. That's pretty big. I would like to see the rat trade here into the probably Mordock.
Yeah,
it just makes sense to me, especially with the Pyromancer pushed back here. We could put the zombie, right over there. We could throw the rat behind, maybe. Or keep. I don't know. We're gonna throw
all the way up or all the way up or behind. Either all the way up, diagonal to up and diagonal to the Mordock or behind the Mordock. I think we want to try to avoid a frozen pillar here, but
that's true.
I mean,
yeah.
I think I personally would have put it behind the Mordock in case oooje decides to double block here. That way we can trade with the rat, execution, and then get a Mordock on face.
Which would be a huge turnaround for this game.
We are running a risk here. If oooje decides to double block here, I don't think we can't get to face unless we somehow top deck.
Uh-oh.
What is he doing here? A Mordock.
Oh, he's in a Mordock. Attempt to Mordock block here. He's thinking he doesn't have it. Oh no.
Oh no. Oh no.
There it is.
Oh no.
What else do you play here except for the execution death? Yeah. Yep, there it is.
Oh god.
Swing in, baby. Swing in.
What are we gonna get here? A horseman on it would be huge. Oh my god, we got the horseman with the wrong RNG.
Yeah, we hit the Maddie. We're even though. God. Even castle health as we're approaching last bits here. Neither player has healing. That's very important to keep in mind here. This is going to literally be the last few turns that both these players see. And we know that DA looking a bit more like the potential winner of this with the Dragon's Fire set up here, followed with the Shaman. Double Necromancer if one of these undead units get left alive here. Twiggin, there's a lot of ways this can go right now.
Oh my god. I'm nervous.
Yeah.
I think DA has a wrap on this because he has to take out the rat, the Mordock, and the undead horseman.
All while trying to mitigate how many units DA is getting off the Mordock. Keep in mind, we're in blue-green, so realistically the only great way to remove the Mordock now would be an execution onto this guy, which...
Oh!
Oh!
Oh! No! No!
Oh, God.
Oh, no.
And that's game one, folks.
I understand because there was no way for him to take out that other rat But oh man, that's so unfortunate.
That's a little disheartening
Oh
for game
man.
one. But I mean, listen, we saw a lot of great things in this matchup. Let's not take away from that, Tweaking. So many impactful plays. I don't think either of these
Wow.
guys realized from the bird's eye view we had about just how impactful those plays were.
Oh man,
Oh God.
you can't ask for a better game one for the finals. I
And
mean,
we still got at least two more to go, Tweaking. We got two more to go.
that was spectacular.
All right, folks. With that being said, let's go ahead and throw to the post match here. Game number one, an incredible game. Let's take you through it. Oh man, we are back for match one. We said it was going to be a close call, but holy shit. Tweakin, did you expect the amount of just literal game-defining plays to happen the way they did?
No, absolutely not. Both players were having unreal RNG. I mean, normally you see one player just get the favorable RNG, but I mean, there was 3 turns in a row where the RNG looked like it was on DeathsAdvocate side, and then it went to oooje's side, and then it went back to DeathsAdvocate side. It was so flip-floppy, I couldn't keep track of it. It was so much. I mean, the RNG from the the reanimate where oooje was allowed to not only take out majority of DeathsAdvocate's units, but also to have a horseman spawn, and not only that, but to land on the Drake, which he was able to trade and negate DeathsAdvocate's Raka, which was probably going to be the game answer. And then DeathsAdvocate really didn't have any answer for all those units until he top decked his Dragon's Fire, which was able to eliminate every unit that spawned from the reanimate.
Yeah.
It was so much. It was so much for game one. I loved it. I mean, it was nail biting to the end. One mistake from each player, and the game could have ended a while back. But we just see like the type of methodical play, the type of thinking and positioning, and this is why these two players are in the finals right now. It was a nail biter to the end.
Absolutely. And I mean, we can't forget about how it ended. The Unholy Altar set, creating the big value Rakanoth, to just definitively close out the game in the following turns here, putting oooje at that top deck scenario, which, I mean, he really wasn't getting anything great from. And, I mean, what a close. What a closer to an absolute barn burner of a 20-minute game. Incredible here. And I'm really excited, looking forward to seeing what comes out game two. And honestly, Tweakin, I just think they have to run it back. Like, I think the deck matchup is so close that it feels wrong to not let these decks go at it again one more time.
Right. I mean, both players were at 4 health. They were at sudden death. There was never a clear, like, okay, death's in the driver's seat or oooje is in the driver's seat. They each had answers for each other throughout the game. I don't think oooje needs to change up his deck at all. We didn't see any freezing pillars. We didn't see any Winds of the Nords. And I think if he would have just drawn one Winds of the Nords or one freezing pillar, the game could have been flip-flopped, and it could have, changed the outcome of the game. So if I'm oooje, I'm running the same deck. I know this is a good counter to whatever DA is running with this spam deck. I know I'm like, hey, I didn't get any freezing pillars this game. I didn't get any Winds of the Nords. And those are kind of like my big, like counters to DA's deck. If I can just get off one of those cards, I know I can throw DA for a loop. So if I'm oooje, I'm running this back for game two. And if I lose game two, then
we might have to consider something else. But I mean, only one way to tell, if we're actually going to get to that point here, because we do have to get to match number 2 here. Tweakin, I'm way too excited to just get into that next matchup here. So what do you say we hop into it and see what oooje has for us in that next game?
I'm ready.
All right, folks, and we're back. Game number 2 underway. oooje with the switch up here, going for the Pirate Crusader, Tweakin. That's interesting. I don't think we've seen oooje play a Pirate Crusader, unless I'm mistaken here. It's been very rarely that oooje has had to come into a game 2 with a new deck, so I'm not super familiar, but I mean, this is looking like a not so bad start here for Reaper, as long as he keeps that hovel alive in the opening turns.
No, right, and we have an answer for school. Oh, we're gonna get our ramps out early. I wonder if oooje has a little reclaim. have some reclaim in his
You
in his
think
back pocket here.
following Jay's words?
Yeah. Oh my God. Oh my God. Double rat hovels, and we're gonna follow it.
Oh
Oh,
my
do we
God!
play our own rat? Do we play our own rat hovel, or do we get the unholy altar down? I mean, like it's both both are fine. Both are
I think
fine
we go with
answers.
Hovel, to be honest here, just so that way we can keep up with the game that Uj is playing, and then maybe down the line we follow up the Unholy Altar to start marching an extra layer on top of the rats.
Now, what do we think Ooze is playing? Like, I feel like it's a little risky to play school. Like, maybe we're going with the ramp deck.
Maybe?
Uh,
Uh,
but
unless this is just...
What's our answer with for the swarm? Maybe Lumi or Swordsman.
I have to be Swordsman, probably. I really don't think that there's any other solid choice here unless we are committed to the Knight package already. Uh,
So we're gonna see just some national trading. I would get a rat hovel down, get your and just start. There's no reason to get your blacksmith down. Everything trades evenly
Well, as of now, we don't know if
as of
Uj is holding an
now.
armory in the back
I
pocket,
know,
which the
yeah.
Smith it would be crucial in assuring that trades go through here, which is what we are going to see here.
Okay.
Smith go down. I do think that that's the correct choice here. It definitely deters Uj from playing an armory this turn. It'll get him a little bit of damage here on the castle and some clean trading all around. But yeah, I think the Smith here just do a start asserting the fact that your swarm is going to be better than Uj's by putting out the Smith here. Because yeah, there is the armory, like I was saying. So now these trades are going to be more even rather than just one-sided for Uj.
Now we
And
could have taken out the armory next this turn and
hmm.
then would have just killed off. Oh my God. Oh my Lord. The spam is coming in full effect right now. If
Yeah.
I'm DA, I actually love coming. If I'm playing a spam swarm deck, I actually love coming up against green yellow because they really don't have that many answers for swarm. Once you start getting all your units down. I mean, and at that point, it's literally just just full steam ahead because you're really not scared of anything. You're not scared of any lightning blade, any chain value, any massive burn. Now you do run the risk of maybe coming up against a swordsman, but a swordsman can only do so much.
Hmm.
Um, so I mean, I'm just loving this. If I'm DA, I'm loving these color factions, and I'm pretty confident. Especially now, I'm not having to deal with like the Temple of the Five Gods, so I can, I don't have to worry about as much
Positioning.
about positioning.
No freeze either because we're again not in the Vikings
Right,
on Uja's
right.
side here. So it looks to be going well for DA. Fat Bard coming out here. I'm starting to get the idea that this might be more of a global spam just in green
Yeah,
yellow rather than
just
traditionally
for
we
some
see that
heal.
in yellow white. We see that partially in green red as well. Again, well, more of a swarm focus. But yeah, this just might be. I mean, getting hovels out in green yellow, getting some buffs here from Fat Bard Armory, and just pushing rats down.
Right now, do we play our Dragon's Fire here to take out the Fat Bard?
Um, we
I mean, you
might because we'd also be way ahead in the swarm numbers at that point. Yeah, look at the value that we're putting out for a
yeah.
Dragon's Fire.
I think this is where we play our Dragon's Fire here.
Mm-hmm. We clean up the buff here. We establish our swarm as being the more dominant one. Um, and yeah, we just kind of get things going here. We do have to forego the hovel for yet another turn, but again, I do think it's worth it to just establish this position that we're in. Because realistically, like, what are we expecting Ooge to bring out here to counteract this? I do not know.
Right. With
God,
7 gold, I mean,
Mordock would be a great answer, but we're 1 gold short.
1 gold short. I mean, we're really only scared of maybe a Southport Captain, a Minotaur, a Jonviev. Outside of that, I don't really see. We're going to see a Flying Books here. We're just going to get some more draw. Maybe another Armory.
I definitely think he needs something to try and match the swarm here, just so he can, trade rather than be killed. The 1/1s will be okay for now because we don't have an armory for DA. Oh shit, I said it,
Oh
and
God.
there it is.
Oh God. And
Oh boy.
we tack it on another rat hovel down below.
Yep.
And This is where, if I'm DA, this is where, you know, I just start going full steam ahead. I got a blacksmith, I got an armory,
I've got a
we got,
bunch of tokens here that are, being
yeah.
produced. I've got ways to produce more. His deck is firing on all cylinders here. I do not see where oooje is going to come out of this one alive. Unless, like you said, crazy swordsman plays. But, how can he reach this back row here? 3 hovels, an altar, an armory. Ay, ay, ay. I hope that draws something special, oooje. That's the only thing that you're going to be utilizing here in the next turn. God
Oh
damn.
no. DA's not having any of it.
But yeah, overall he's in a good spot here. And yeah, you're seeing the positioning that he's got going here. Normally against Vikings, this would not be ideal because that the Enel Blade can completely change the tide of this battle.
Right.
But because again we are in yellow, we're not as worried about that sort of threat coming. The only possibility we have of chain is, from something like, a flux or a random spell generator with pulling in a storm strike. But again, seems unlikely, and oooje not, I think, one to run that. Maybe, I might be wrong. I think he has in the past, but yeah, the Fat Bard and Armory are going to help a little bit here. It's going to, again, trade with the swarm rather than be killed off by it. Yeah, another Drake for turn isn't the best, but now we've got 8 gold, so Mordok is live.
I'm sure we'll see the Morlock hit. And what's the beauty about that is if oooje decides to play a Mercenary's Execution, that's fine with us because we're spawning 4 units each turn,
Mm-hmm.
and that's oooje's whole turn. Now he will get a trade with the rat, and at least 2 rats here. But yeah, this is the problem with spam decks is, your opponent is constantly spamming out 4 units right now on top of whatever units he decides to play with his gold for that turn, and it just becomes too much. I would love to see a swordsman here. We'll be able to take out a lot of these units, including the Mordok. Um, the question is, did oooje decide to run it? Doesn't look like he is.
We're going to run the Elvish Thief up here to block face here. Captains. A lot of ramp coming out, Chief, but it's not really showing us what you can do with it. We're going to trade in some rats here. That was, I think, the wrong order of rats. The back one should have been the one to trade first because now you leave this 3-2 alive to get rid of the captain completely, and that's not going to be ideal because now the Mordok will survive instead of, dying like I think you intended for that. So again, bit of a misstep here, which is surprising to say the least, but it is what it is. We're going to see the rats probably connect with the captain. I'd be surprised if he doesn't take this to start generating units here that will clear ooje's back row to really just end the game.
I mean, honestly, I think this game is already over. I think DA he just has too strong of a back line here. oooje, we're not even close to sudden death. We have 1 card. Uh, this Mordok is going to get at least 1 more unit to spawn out. We're going to get a
Oh,
9
and a
Wraith.
Wraith.
I Yeah, I mean, you could take out the armor. I mean, you could take out the Fat Bard or the Rat Hovel. Um, yeah, I think this is just game over here. I would just play everything I have in my hand if I'm DA.
Yeah, I think that's the idea we got to go for here because
Yeah.
realistically, what is oooje going to bring to the table that clears all of this? Um, Again, there's the opportunity for swordsman, but at this point, it feels like oooje doesn't have one. We have a lot of ramp here, 15 gold, so I'd be surprised if we can't play anything from our hand here. There's a lumberjack connecting with the Mordok, generating a banshee. Okay. Um, God, and that trade with con artist rather than con artist killing it. That's how big these units have gotten. There's the school finally. So this was supposed to be a school-based deck. It seems like we are going to get a little bit of draw from that thanks to con artist. Um,
But I
Hope it
just think it's
helps.
yeah, I think it's just a little bit too late.
Okay, rats are making some trades here. Another
Oh,
con
another
artist. All right. Oh,
and a
and the
priest.
priest. Okay. Another draw here. Another card.
Oh,
Oh.
The wrong person to get it.
Yeah.
The wrong person to get it.
I mean, it's not
You
too
don't
bad.
loot.
You don't lose a whole lot from this. Oh, another school is not what you wanted to pull.
Yeah, but I think Ooze sees the writing on the wall here. We're gonna get a storm strike here on the Drake.
Oh, and
Oh,
the fear.
we can even fear back the con artist too.
Yeah, the top counters as well for
Yeah,
more
yeah.
value. Yep. Oh,
Oh my God, another fear.
I don't know if
Yeah,
he
we're
wants to use
just
that
gonna come
second
here.
fear before he kills off all the fearable
N-
targets, but yeah,
yeah,
no, he doesn't care.
no.
No.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
and
this
there's
is.
a surrender. Uj
Yep.
not having it. He's like, "No, get me out of this game here. We're 2 games down. This is looking very grim." Yikes. I'm hoping whatever Uj has got in the back pocket in game 3 can bring back a win. He's down 2 games. DA having the set match point here. Oh God, Tweaking. It's gonna be incredible. But we have to check out the post match here. We got to look a little bit closer at this game. So let's go ahead and take a look at that before we get into game number 3. Okay, so Tweaking, we're back for game number 2, right? And we said beforehand that we wanted to kind of see a rematch here of the decks. We thought that they paired very well against each other, and it was going to be a tight matchup regardless here. But oooje fishing for something a little bit different here and pulling out what appears to be a sort of green yellow aggro, I guess. Like, nothing in this deck is over 5 gold here, and it's got the school for draw. I'm not sure if the idea was just to get the rat hovels out as fast as possible here and cycling out a bunch of other tools with the ramp to find it. But I mean, we saw this didn't work out. We gave Death that much needed time for his deck to go off, and it kind of the triple hovel. It did not go well.
Yeah. One, I don't like the fashion colors to NCDA Swarm deck, especially seeing Ooze's deck now. Not having any swordsman or cracks or docks.
Mm.
After all your egg into hoping that your armor and your fat bards stay alive. I mean, if you lose your arms and your fat bards, or you don't even draw any of them, your unit is a 4/5 Flower Knight.
And that just, I
If it
feel like it's
survives,
not going to
and
cut
that's
it.
saying something.
It's just not going to cut it.
Yeah, like how is your 4/5 gonna go up against a vampire or a Mordock or an Aculite? I mean, I just feel like Ooze went a little too mobile. He didn't want to brick or anything with the high cost. He thought that maybe he could out ramp DA in the early where DA couldn't get any of his buildings down and he couldn't build up the presence. But I don't think I don't think it was the answer. You're putting your all your eggs into one basket, and we saw and how that ended up. I mean, he did get the early rat hovels down, but we saw DA being able to, burn off bat bars with the Dragon's Fire. We saw him being able, with all of his direct damage, and then it just became too
pretty
much
much
for
was
Ooze to
able
handle.
to match and exceed what oooje was doing in terms of the gameplay, and I think that really just came
Right.
back to bite him. It's unfortunate that now oooje is 2 games down, and I think has to really go back to that blue green deck, the one we saw first game. I think that's what he needs to go back to kind of fish out another win here, because again, we can't take away that from that game 1 that it was close. It was very close, and I mean,
Yeah.
one wrong step could mean that oooje is walking away maybe with game 3 because of that blue green. I think this was a
Hmm.
valiant try to kind of mess around with and see how exactly this type of style would run against DA. But now that we've established that it's not maybe as successful as we think it is, I think we should go back to what's working and go back to that blue green deck. Just
Yeah. No,
makes so much
I
sense.
agree 100%.
But of course, there is only one way to find out if that is going to be the case here, Tweaking. We've got game 3 lined up. Hopefully, oooje will bring out that blue green, but again, only one way to find out if that's going to be the case here. So, what do you think we hop into game number 3 to see if oooje can push us to a game 4?
Yep. Let's do it.
Tweaking, game number 3, the potential final game to close out this set here. DA, a very dominant run in the last 2 games here, has really given oooje a run for his money. Although oooje has one more chance here, coming back with the Pirate Druid with some immediate ramp here going into the Master Thief turn 1. Whew, what could we see out of this game?
I don't know. I'm surprised oooje is going away from his blue green deck. I feel like that's the best answer against Swarm. Uh, just having the ability to play Temple of the Five Gods, Lightning Blades, and Frozen Pillars. I mean, that is just like the clear counter to any sort of spam deck. Um, I can only imagine that. Hopeful. I mean, this is just it's going very bad for oooje right now. We lose our Rat Hovel. Now we do get a free hit onto Castle with our Lumberjack. We'll get a Matty here.
We expect that to be
Oh,
bolted as well.
yeah.
If that happens, we'd get another hit on Castle with Lumberjack, which is cool. But I feel like it's just. I mean, he could keep it around. It's only doing 2 damage, but yeah, we are gonna bolt it here. We're gonna mitigate that damage here as best we can. But I mean, I don't think it's too bad for oooje though. Wasting these bolts now really has prevented DA from setting up anything. And if oooje can, okay, all right, we're getting fast
Oh
here.
man.
We're getting fast and furious. Yeah, I imagine Shaman has to be the play here. Okay, you gotta block somehow. An armory isn't gonna block if you throw it up now.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, okay, there is that. Okay, so Shaman hits the board here. Shaman doing some great things. That is going to clear off the Lumberjack, giving oooje the draw here, allowing, though, these other units to start swinging into face a little bit earlier here. And we've got some good ramp here. 6 on 5. Can we see something that'll get rid of the Shaman?
Elvis Thief. Yeah, we'll probably see a vampire out here, and then see like the problem with this is everything dies from a Dragon's Fire, which we have in our hand, and I think
Mm-hmm.
at that point it might be a little bit too late because we'll have the vampire out. Um, yeah, I mean, Ooze is not going to even trade here. Um, I would get the vampire out, trade with the guy right in front of castle,
Salahar
and
Soldier,
yeah.
killing off the Master Thief with that. Yep, ensuring that we don't use funny math to kill off the vampire. And this is, yeah, we've essentially just gone back to being rough for oooje here. Kind of surprising though, taking a look at the game and just oooje has never been one to kind of go for these strategies here. It feels like the pressure is getting to him. I think something it's just not clicking with him in this game here. The vampire and Dragon's Fire might be absolute killer cards against whatever strategy oooje's got here.
I don't
Uh,
know. I don't know what it is, but I mean, this is where, yeah, you just armory up and
you can Rat
play a
Hovel. Yep.
rat hovel, and then you start doing your thing, and then just start running down with the vampire. And this is where I think this is just DA's game to lose at this point, unless somehow
DA's
oooje
game to
is able
win.
to it. Well, DA's game to win or lose. Um, we have a Mordock here. Still not going to do anything.
We're not even going to
Maybe.
attempt to trade with them.
Oh my God. I was
Oh
wondering maybe we have a scope to deal with it, but yeah, we
my
we murder
God.
the Marduk. Yeah, I think this is probably just game over here. I don't think we have an answer for this vampire.
It feels so bad too because we had an incredible game 1, and now seeing the game 2. Okay, Serpent Witch
Serpent Witch.
that can do a little bit of work here to clear off this vampire. We can stun it. It won't get any sort of retaliation after that, so we can bop in with potentially the Ajira here. Although that won't really kill the vampire, but it will leave it stunned, which is the important part. Um, I
Yeah, but the sad thing is everything dies next turn to
to
a Dragon's
Dragon's
Fire.
Fire. Yep.
And on top of that, we can play our Betty Mothra and Serpent Witch too. Oh, wait a second.
Yep. It doesn't
Wait,
die because of the.
we can't because we can trade the shaman with the fish, and then we put the Nigeria behind,
Oh, true, true,
and
true. Yeah,
then
yeah, yeah,
Salahar. Beastal Rage here.
Okay. Kind of ensuring that we don't want. We're still gonna
I
make a
don't think.
trade. That's not.
Yeah, I don't think we needed to do that.
I guess okay.
Uh,
Moving Ajira out of the way to avoid a potential rat trade with it, maybe instead of putting it just behind. But we know D-Fire hits the board here. We play
yep.
Moth. We play Serpent Witch. That's gonna be Look at that. Even throw the Lumberjack out too with the extra gold we have. Moth, Witch. Going potentially with the altar here.
DA is just playing it safe as always. I don't think he needs to. I mean, he could. I feel like once you play the Serpent Witch down and the Lumberjack and the Betty Mothra, I mean, Ooze just playing on. He's just basically top decking at this point, and I don't think there's an answer for a 2/7. Yeah, here comes a Fat Bard and a Spiny. Yeah, Ooze is just gonna wave the flag at this point. He knows it's over. He's not even gonna worry about defending his castle. We got a Dagger Storm here as well. I mean, we can trade a Lumberjack into the Fat Bard plus a Blacksmith, and then just Dagger Storm, I guess.
Yeah, that seems to be what's gonna happen here. There's a smith, there's the lumber, right? Yep, take a moment for that to pop in, but it will. Yep, there's the trade. Getting a Rakanoth, which
Yeah,
we're gonna set up an
yeah,
acolyte in the back for. Yep.
yeah, and then it's just game over at this point.
Oh,
Damn, dang. I'm surprised Ooj decided to play two decks that, aren't really that good against spam. I mean, I would have for sure thought he would have ran it back with his
right.
blue green deck. I mean, it was such a close match. It was such a close match in game one. If I'm Ooj, I'm running it back. I don't feel the need to switch, but apparently he felt that it wasn't going to be enough, and
Yep, there's the hook bop to can't kill anything on this board here, and that means that DA does come out with the win here, securing himself as our Season 2 champion. Fantastic stuff. And doing it in 3 matches, too. I think none of the playoffs or none of the playoff matches we've had have gone to 3 matches. They've always been extended to that 4th game here, which they usually get closed out in. But yeah, 3 games here, 3 games up, 3 games down for DA taking the crown, establishing himself as our Season 2 champion. Some incredible stuff here, but let's go ahead and take a look at the post-match here to really break down what happened for game number 3. All right, in game number 3, wrapping up here, coming back to what feels like a repeat of what we saw at game 2, Tweaking, honestly. By the way that this deck is looking, it felt like this was sort of another attempt to, force the pressure early, give DA that room to not set up, and then sneak away with the win here, which we already established it didn't work in game 2, and now we are here in game 3, no longer in it because we lost the set. Thanks to just something else here, man. I'm looking at this deck, seeing Merciless Santa, the Ajira. It feels like this is just a collection of cards.
Right, I feel like this is just the same thing with the school, except we're trading out the school for a Mordock. We added a Mordock, but everything else is still the same. I mean, we're hoping that, our armories and Fat Bards don't get burned off, and, everything else it's just too weak to go up against DA's deck. I understand, even DeathsAdvocate said that, the longer you take out his spawners, the harder it is to beat him. And I guess Ooj took that way too literally, because he is investing so much into the early game where if he doesn't win essentially in the first 6 turns, it's essentially game over for DA. DA just has to. It's like a reverse war party. If DA can survive to turn 7, he'll win. Whereas Ooj needs to kill or have complete control over everything by turn 7.
Which feels unlikely given the fact that DA has his deck set up here. It just doesn't leave Ooj the room to establish that goal here. And we saw that clear as day here. We saw the Vampire come out. We saw Global. We saw more burn. it just kind of unfortunately put the whole deck down, and kind of what gave DA that winning match to close out this set.
Right. I'm just really shocked that we didn't see oooje decide to run him back with his main deck at least one more time, or we didn't see, you know, a red-yellow combination where you get the heals, you also get the burn, and maybe you could know a last will deck, or maybe even a no interactions deck with DA not having any ability to heal. I'm just surprised that oooje decided to choose these color combinations, and not only that, but just use essentially a rush type deck. We know how hit or miss rush decks are, and when you go up against a spam deck that, you know, it's really unlikely for them to brick, and to top along with that, you have fear. You have ways to kind of stop the initial push.
Right.
It was confusing to say. I don't agree with it, and we saw, and this is probably why DeathsAdvocate had an easy game two, and an easier game three. It's unfortunate, but you know, that's just, sometimes it just happens like that.
Right, and I mean, speaking of our champion here, the winner of season 2, we actually have him standing by for a few words here. So, what do we say we hop over to DA and speak to him a little bit to see how he's feeling about
Yeah.
his win and how in his season, see how he's feeling about all that. And we are back, folks, with the Season 2 champion. DeathsAdvocate, congratulations. You have conquered Season 2, stood up top of the mountain here, and claimed victory over someone who we thought was going to go all the way this season, giving oooje, the man who went undefeated, his first set loss, I think, maybe ever in a Cast of Conflict. But how do you feel? I mean, I want to hear your thoughts on this. I mean, you played some great games here. Round 1, man, quite an exciting matchup. What do you have to say for yourself?
Round 1 was insane. I mean, he's definitely playing a color combination that my primary deck's a bit afraid of. Like, green-blue or white-blue tend to be some of the biggest hurdles I can face. So that round 1 was just something else. And oooje was an excellent player. I think he made a few small misplays there based on what he was saying in chat, and it was an intense moment. Stress was high.
Certainly. Oh, man, like the reanimate that he pulled off to shut down the Rakanoth was
just
incredible.
Horsemen, the horsemen spawning on the dragon was like, I was so scared.
I mean and then I mean we move into round 2 and round 3 though, and you seem to be just quite dominant. I'm not sure if that was because of oooje's color choice or the way he drew, but you just seem to have a strong hold over those games.
Green yellow tends to be a pretty easy matchup for me because I have like better generators and better backline answers, and while Craxus and or Scope can be a little annoying, like I've got Mercenary Execution if they try to do that on Mordok. Like, that wasn't the best counter pick. Now his third pick, however, was perfect. Like, I am terrified of just companions. Like, man, had he gotten an early Bestial Rage rather than having to do it as more of a desperation play, that could have been a completely different game.
He seemed to just go for fast, in-your-face type of strategy here, but we were telling the entire game one Dragon's Fire can clean it up.
If you give this deck time, you're in trouble. Like, unless you are War Party, you can't outdo its late game. As we saw in the one match I did lose this season was to a War Party, and then I grabbed a not-so-great counter pick that I hadn't practiced for a while, and that cost me.
Certainly. But, I mean, how are you feeling overall, though, with your season here? Because, I mean, it wasn't just these games that got you to where you are. You went through pretty much the entirety of the season on a pretty dominant run here. Again, like you mentioned, only falling in maybe that one match, one set, maybe, if I remember correctly. But, I mean, other than that, talk to us about how your season went.
Raqqa War Party, and then I tried to pull out my green-white and got punished hard by freeze and lightning. And it went well. Like, there were a lot of tough opponents, a lot of tough matches, but I got a little lucky, and I didn't see many of my bad match. Like, this deck is really only afraid of a couple things. Like, you've got the white-blue Mystic Rats. That's its worst possible matchup because there's lightning and companions. And then after that, you've got the green-blue just because they can sort of, match what I'm doing and bring some lightning. And then the last one, which I was thrilled not to see pretty much the entire season, was no interaction. Like, I do tech myself to be pretty good against it, but it's always hard. But I have a couple decks on backup. Like, I finally got to bring it out in the semifinals. That yellow, red, Voltron good stuff list is my... basically, that deck beats everything that doesn't have Mercenary Execution and Dagger Storm.
Oh, fantastic. I mean, that was a fun match to see, seeing the Primordial Flame reminding us of some of our old days. I think we can reminisce about.
Typically, it's only used in, like, Rush, and I'm like, nah, Rushes, you're just asking to brick and get answered early, or similarly with no interaction, you're just asking to get countered. Like, in the right deck, if you just go for good stuff and buffs, like Primordial Flame can put in some work. It was a tough call between, like, him and Flame King, but just being able to survive any early burn and stuff really goes a long way in this meta.
And I mean, speaking a bit ahead here to the future, I think some people have already known this. And I kind of just want to ask this question myself because I figured I already think I know the answer, but just to kind of give fans something to look forward to, will you be returning to defend your crown in Season 3? Now that you have claimed the champion spot in Season 2, are you going to carry over here? Or are you going to establish yourself in that next season as well? What are some future plans that you've got moving forward in this sort of league environment?
Most likely, although I'm not sure how much we're really supposed to talk about it.
Well, the most we can say is that Season 3 probably going to happen, but that's all I'm going to leave it to as of now.
Well, if we can't say any more than that, then I can't comment too much. So I guess I will just leave my comment with probably then, if we can't discuss it further.
Of course. And that's going to be it from me. Overall, a fantastic season from you. Tweakin, do you have anything for our new champion here, our Season 2 champion?
Yeah. First off, congratulations, DA, on the hard win and, going through the entire season and finally getting your crown. It was well deserved. So congratulations on that. My first question is going into Season 2 and seeing the roster, who was making you nervous? Who was that one opponent where you're like, okay, this player is giving me something? Like, I can't, like, I'm nervous to play against this one guy in particular. Who would that be? Preseason.
So, there were a lot of good players.
Right.
There wasn't any one particular player, but I did look through and look at some of the decks to find, what is going to be my hard matchup, because, it's always an uphill battle if you lose round 1. So I sort of went through. So Alan, originally, he was playing that blue-green Mystic Rats, which can be trouble, but luckily he sort of like switched off of it before coming back to me, and then he didn't even bring it as a counter pick, even though it's his go-to. So I was a little worried about that. And then let me just look through some of that. Oooje, again, like his main deck was a little concerning just because I know if he got an early wins off at the right time, I could be having a really bad time. Like, I'm really good about playing around freeze and lightning under normal circumstances, but my deck is particularly vulnerable to winds lightning because there's not much I can do to adjust for that. So Oooje was another one. And then somewhat beastly too, just because he's a phenomenal player, and despite that he was bringing a filthy mono deck, which always feels bad to lose against, because you're like, oh, come on. Just the swarm and companions were a little concerning, but luckily being mono, I figured, as long as I get Dragon's Fire, I'll be okay there.
Yeah.
But, so it was mostly Oooje and Alan's original deck list that were the most concerning. Was also Helios was another concern, just because red blues, not a combination you see too often, but it does definitely have the tools to deal with me. Although his deck in particular, I felt I would have the advantage on just because I'm a little stronger in the. I mean, I guess we have fairly similar late games there ultimately with the dragon package, but I felt like I'd be able to deal with his early game a little more than he could deal with mine.
Right.
But that's definitely another concern because, Mystic Rats and Dragonfire and Temple of the Five Gods in the same deck was a little concerning. And let's see, there was one more. Who was it that was running the yellow-white Crusader package? That was another.
Alan did switch up to
Right,
that
he switched
halfway
to
through the,
another
yeah.
another somewhat concerning deck, but yeah, so mostly, like, I picked this deck just because it's a deck that doesn't have a lot of weaknesses and it's got a lot of value. Like, there are
Right.
a couple bad matchups, but none of them are, like, really hard counters either. As long as I draw the right cards and play right, I can deal with it, and then I know how to counter pick the decks that counter mine, and that's that Voltron list I was sort of talking about. So I largely came into the season expecting to mostly run those two decks as a complementary package that should take care of each other.
Right. And you mentioned why you picked your deck. That was going to be my another question, is about why did you choose this deck? And then also you brought up the fact that during this matchup against oooje in game 2, seeing him pick green yellow, I even made the comment during the match that if I'm DA, I'm loving this matchup because you don't have to worry about freeze, lightning blade, massive burn. You can honestly just
Like,
run your
there's no
units down.
companions, no
Right.
Dragon's Fire, no Mystic Rats, so I'm like,
Right.
oh, I'm
You're
good.
really only scared of a Lumi, and even then, you're not
I
getting
can
that
play
much
around
value.
Lumi. My deck
Exactly,
never leaves,
exactly,
doesn't generally leave a knight on the field. I'm
exactly.
jam-packed.
Uh, I think honestly, DA, after watching everyone play, seeing the decks that they made, I think that, you winning this matchup or you winning the crown is well deserved because it feels like you were the one player that actually took the time and studied your opponents, study your deck, see what they were running, see how they were playing, what their play style was. It seemed that you were the most prepared during each of your matchup, and it showed. It showed throughout the season, and it showed especially in the finals and in the playoffs. So
Yeah, Red made me work for it to be
yeah.
prepared. He's like, "Hey, Red, do you got screenshots of oooje's decks?" He's like, "No." I'm like, "Okay, fine. I guess I'll just go rewatch every single video again. Yeah, I have my own little private notes tab where I screenshotted all four variations that he brought before. But he brought some new stuff out in the finals. Just definitely keep me on my toes. But and that yellow green, I think, is what hurt him there. Uh,
So if you
I
want to be a
suppose
top
his
player, so just let this go to show for the players watching. If you want to be a top player in these type of games, you have to know your opponent, know how they play, know what cards they like to run, and that is half the battle. Once you know that, you know how to work around, and you're really not playing the cards. You're mainly playing the player. How does this person play? What is he doing? What is his thinking style? And once you get that down, once you have kind of a basic idea, you should be at one of those top spots. Let DA be your guide. And my last thing is, this is just for a general question. Is there any tips that you would like to give to players playing the game right now or going into the new game that you would like to give? Is there any, hidden tricks of the trade that you would like to pass on, whether it's for deck building, whether it's for, positioning or tactics? What would you like to say? How are
Well,
you
I
this
can't
good?
talk too much about the new game, but
Yeah.
for the original game, Walls, Cards and Castles is a simple game. It also has a lot of depth, and that's what makes it so great. It's easy to learn, but hard to master. And so the two, well, there's three main things that I sort of do as a whole with the game. So one is I work really hard on deck building. Like you really need to balance curved card advantage. I avoid playing decks that have like hard counters, because it doesn't matter if you crush your opponent a bunch and then lose, because 9 out of 10 is not good enough. Like, I would rather have a 60% chance to win every game rather than a 90% chance to win most games, and then a 20% chance to win my hard counter. So try not to play swingy decks like that, because not only is it sort of, I just like coming up against swingy things like that, because it's not usually you outskilling your opponent. It's, a bit of luck there. So try to
Right.
play decks that have a decent matchup across the board rather than relying on high rolls. Now, that being said, if you are a newer player, while it hurts my soul to recommend it, you may actually want to go for those more swingy things, because they will give you that small advantage that you may not have otherwise against more experienced players. But as you get better, you should look to move away from that.
Well, that is
Uh,
all that I had. Oh, wait, no, you had three. You had three. What was the third
yeah,
one?
now I'm trying to remember myself, but deck building, avoiding swingy cards, avoiding getting hard countered, and then just trying to take note of the meta.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, right, that was the last one. Like positioning, it would take a long time to go over really in detail the positioning nuances
Right.
of the game. But the big one, this deck sort of highlights a lot of the examples. Like, you'll notice where I place my buildings every game, even if I'm not up against a blue deck. You really want to always be in the habit of playing around lightning, and the ways to do that is just keeping yourself separated, using that top, middle, and bottom lane. There's a lot of nuance that goes into exactly how it works, but if you watch how I place my buildings and where I'll move my units, I will patiently and methodically wait for my opportunities. You always got to be thinking about Yarm, Lightning Blade, and a
Right.
Freeze Pillar. Like, you need to be running up those three lanes, you need to be keeping your positioning spaced, and this is good against more than just Lightning, because it gives you board coverage and options, and
Mm-hmm.
keeps you from getting surprised by something. And that we could talk for hours on that, and that's mostly just really practice that. Really practice your positioning, even if you're not up against blue. Like, just get in the habit of doing that no matter what. Be methodical. Use every second of time you have. Never think about the current turn. Think about the next 5 turns and everything your opponent could draw and play.
Right, because in a game of RNG, you never know what that opponent can get, and we saw it in game two. Yeah, in game two, where you got it was the wrong player to get it, but from a Banshee, you got a Storm Strike, which is Lightning Blade.
Yeah,
So you
exactly.
never know what type of RNG your opponent or yourself can get. So if you just avoid everything and you don't give them a chance, you won't have to worry about that.
Like, pretend you're playing against blue every single match.
Well, those are all the questions I have. Like I said, congratulations, DA, on the victory and becoming our champion for season 2. And I hope to see you defend your crown.
And with that being said, Tweakin, we arrive at the end of Casting Conflicts. Death's Advocate, like we mentioned, the champion of Season 2, and much deserved congratulations to him again for securing that win. But with that being said, folks, that is going to conclude us for Season 2. I do want to thank all of the players here who helped, facilitate these matches here. Thank them for spending their time with us to bring you guys the incredible gameplay throughout the season here. And I gotta thank my co-caster here, Tweakin, for sticking with me the entire way, buddy. We've certainly seen some games here, and while you may not have been around for all of them, certainly a fun ride with you, and nonetheless.
Yeah, it was a pleasure, Red. And, we had a lot of great games. We had a lot of poor games, but it was fun being in the booth with you. I'm glad that we were able to find our champion, and what a well-deserved champion that is. I can't pick a better player to be our champion than for DA.
Right, and with that being said, folks, where do we go next? Well, Cast and Conflict's going to take a little bit of a break moving forward here, but don't worry, we do have plans for a Season 3. What those plans are, we can't exactly share with you those just yet, but know that they will be in the works. But with that being said, again, congrats to to DA for winning. Thank you to all the players, as well as you, the audience, for sticking with us, for finding our champion with us. And yeah, we will see you back here soon, hopefully in the near future. But with that being said, be sure to like, share, subscribe, comment, all of that fun stuff. And yeah, until next time, guys, stay gaming.